Diablo 4's new Helltides and new Iron Wolf faction reputation system gives not only some amazing rewards, but there's a couple key tricks that you can use to actually stack a bunch of this wolf's honor very quickly within Helltides, and not only that, use Helltides to your advantage to not only level up quickly, but how to help you max out your seasonal journey very quickly, get a bunch of those XP glyphs, and overall help you to level up your character much faster. I'm going to show you everything Helltide and everything Iron Wolf and show you how to be the most effective you can so you can level up and make your character super powerful. So when it comes to leveling, the very first thing to do, if you already have it unlocked, is to skip the campaign and obviously make sure you have all of your renown. Obviously that's going to give you 10 free skill points to go ahead and level up your character right off the bat, and also a ton of Paragon points, so that way when you hit level 50 you can max out a free Paragon board for completely free. Now the very first thing you want to do is focus on your Iron Wolf Season 4 questline, which will straight up take you into the Helltides, and you want to start doing this at level 1. Once you begin doing that, you'll have to come over to the Iron Wolves encampment, do a couple quests, and you'll be able to see this Wolf's Honor menu where you can then start to unlock rewards. This is the first big tip I want to give, is that once you start to unlock these rewards, which I'll show you how to do quickly in just a little bit, you want to go ahead and claim every single one of these rewards once you unlock them. Essentially, when you open these, they tie to the level that you currently are, but if you unlock a legendary cache, that means you will be getting a legendary item. The same for unique. You will get a unique item, etc. A lot of people have been wondering if you should save these. For instance, if you unlock this unique cache at level 30, should you save it to level 100 so you can unlock a level 100 unique? And that goes the same with some of this legendary gear. The big thing here is this gives you a ton of other materials, a ton of other things you can use to help progress and level, like potions, different materials for crafting, etc. So it's 100% worth going ahead and opening these as you unlock them. Don't save them for later. All it's going to do is take you longer to level, longer to upgrade your gear, and most of this equipment won't be your best in slot equipment, so it's not worth saving. It will help you progress through your leveling much faster. Now before I jump straight into the Helltides to show you how to get all that reputation and XP extremely fast in Season 4, I want to touch on the seasonal journey. So obviously every Diablo season has its own journey, and each journey has a bunch of different missions that you have to complete, and once you complete them you get favor, and as you get favor you begin to unlock some of the stuff within the seasonal journey itself, a lot of the important ones being Smoldering Ashes. Smoldering Ashes is going to give you your seasonal blessings, so as you unlock them you can put points in different categories to greatly affect how you level. For instance, I'm getting plus 15% bonus XP and plus 10% Paragon node XP just for having these selected. And I say that because it's important when we start doing the Helltide to actually not just necessarily run through and do it all the time, but also to make sure you focus on your season journey and make sure you're going out of the way and completing a lot of these actual individual tasks. Like for instance, actually obtaining your caches for the Tree of Whispers. This is important because every single time you max out your Tree of Whispers and you can collect the cache, you need to actually go and claim it. Otherwise, you cannot actually earn any more Grim Favors once this meter is maxed out. So it's important you go ahead, come over here and collect it, and then go back to Helltide or whatever you're doing so you can progress your seasonal journey. If you're not paying attention to this stuff, you're going to have to go do it after the fact and later, meaning you're going to have to redo a lot of stuff that you could have already done, costing you a lot of time. That being said, we want to go ahead and jump into Helltide as early as level 1 once we've started our Seasonal 4 questline with the Iron Wolves. Now the first big thing here is you want to be efficient when doing your Helltides. You want to push level and power first, meaning you want to level and push your character's power before you start worrying about your Iron Wolves reputation. This is because as you play Helltide, which you have to do to level efficiently, it's just going to come naturally to you, and you're going to get a bunch of rewards and a bunch of progress towards that Iron Wolf reputation by just playing Helltide in general. Different things in Helltide give you different Iron Wolf reputation amounts. For instance, killing a named boss could give you a certain amount, killing the Blood Maiden will give you a certain amount, and then completing other rituals and events that are Iron Wolf related will give you separate amounts as well. So doing most everything in the Helltide towards your next Iron Wolf's reputation level, but again, you don't necessarily have to focus on it. You should focus your character's level and your character's power first before anything else. So the first main thing in Helltide is the Blood Maiden. The Blood Maiden is going to give you the biggest amount of XP and the biggest amount of rep in a quick, consistent fashion compared to any other thing in the Helltide. Now, by completing specific things such as the ritual with the Blood Maiden boss, the new Hellborn special enemies, new named roaming bosses, and different ritual events, all of these will actually increase your Iron Wolf reputation, and you can see that shown by the purple numbers when you actually complete something. So once you complete something, you can see you're going to get a purple number pop up on your screen. That is telling you how much Iron Wolf reputation you just earned towards your next level. Different things give you different amounts. For instance, certain higher level chests like the Living Still chest will give you 150 Iron Wolf reputation just for unlocking them, whereas killing the Blood Maiden or other named bosses will give you different amounts. Again, focus on your power and your level, and that stuff should come naturally. And then later, once you start getting higher level, if you still need to farm out some of these reputation levels, one of the things you can focus on after you've started really progressing your level is actually switching your season blessings. So you can see there's an Urn of Iron here that actually boosts your reputations with the Iron Wolves from Helltide activities. If let's say we're getting close to max level and we're going to hit it anyways, what we can go ahead and do is take away points from our Urn of Aggression and then come over here and put them in the Urn of Iron. So now we're getting much more reputation, so we can max out our reputation much quicker that way. Again, I would focus on leveling early on, and then once you start getting higher level, you can put points in here since you'll be closing in on max level. So I want to focus primarily on Helltide efficiency and everything you need to know about the Helltide to make you level up your character and get you a ton of Iron Wolf reputation very quickly. So the first thing in Helltide to fully explain it and how to be extremely efficient in it is the threat meter. The threat meter essentially goes up depending on a lot of different things you do in the Helltide, whether it's killing bosses, enemies, name bosses, completing rituals, completing events, whatever you're doing, you're basically feeding into that threat meter. Now by upping the threat meter in different intervals, each time you get to one of those lines or section markers, a giant worm will essentially spit out a bunch of enemies for you to go ahead and kill. Now as that Helltide meter continues to go up, it will continually spawn more and more enemies more frequently. Now, once you get to the end of that Helltide meter, this is where you want to pay attention because it can actually save you a bunch of time if you pay attention to a couple things. For instance, once you get to the end of the Helltide meter, massive swarms of enemies will start to spawn on top of you, giving you a lot of enemies to kill, a lot of XP, and a lot of reputation that you can actually gain from killing all of these enemies. But you want to pay attention because there are a lot of seasonal challenges. For instance, like this one in level 3, where it actually tells you to defeat monsters while at max threat level during your Helltide. There's one of these challenges in Season Journey 3, and there's also one in Season Journey level 4. And if you want to knock these out and get the best XP possible, this is what you should do. Once you see your meter actually starting to get towards the top of the meter, go ahead and try and find an event somewhere, such as one of these Ritual Spire events, and go ahead and activate it. Once you activate it, it will continually spawn enemies and throw a ton of enemies at you while you're standing in the circle doing the event. And once you fill up your Helltide meter while doing one of these events, you can essentially combine them because the threat meter enemies will begin to all spawn on top of you while the event enemies are all spawning on top of you as well. And this can give you not only a ton of XP and reputation, but overall help you complete these challenges much quicker, giving you two big large groups of enemies spawning on top of each other. Because those seasonal challenges track the amount of enemies you can kill while your threat meter is completely full until it drains to the very end. That'll help you complete those challenges early because those are the challenges you, like me, will get stuck on and not actually be able to go to the next seasonal journey level. Again, it's important you do stuff like this and focus on it so that way you can unlock more levels in your season journey, get more ashes, more XP, and level up way faster. It really makes a big difference. Next is the ritual event with the Blood Maiden. The big ritual event takes 3 Baneful Hearts to go ahead and spawn the Blood Maiden, as well as a ton of enemies and a ton of bosses to not only get you again a ton of reputation, but a ton of XP. Now the way to get these Baneful Hearts is primarily doing a lot of things within the Helltide, killing named bosses, etc. But I've noticed the most amount of hearts that I've been able to get consistently are from the chests. So for instance, like the Living Steel chest or the Mystery chest, a lot of those chests you can open and actually get 2+ Baneful Hearts from almost every single time. So it's important to make sure you're opening those chests so that you can get the Baneful Hearts, save a decent amount of them up, and run through a bunch of Blood Maidens. Now the reason this is one of the best XP methods right now in Season 4 of Diablo is because of how often you can do it. If you see this glowing circle on your map while you're in a Helltide, that means somebody's doing the boss. Unless you're doing something specific, you should quit everything you're doing, run to the boss, and fight all of the enemies there. Why? Because there's so many of them, it gives you a ton of XP. And even if you're not really fighting them, you're kind of just standing in the middle, you're still getting a ton of XP. And every single time you're in the Helltide, you should make sure you're using some sort of XP potion to get the max XP possible. Really, the only thing you need to mostly worry about is her fireball attack, where she rains down a bunch of fireballs on top of everyone. As long as you dodge that attack, you'll pretty much never die against this boss, especially if your character's a little specced out. So keep an eye out for that attack. And also when she spawns her multiple bosses every time she hits kind of one of her different sections of health, make sure you take out those bosses first to get the XP and everything that comes from those bosses, then go back to fighting her. So making sure to take them all out gives you a bunch of extra overall XP. Now again, whether you're playing in a group or even playing solo, if you go to one of these events because somebody's doing it, go ahead and do it, and then make sure to stick around and don't save your Baneful Hearts. Make sure you use them because there's literally no reason whatsoever on God's green earth to save these things. If you have the ability to use them, use them, because when there are big groups of players, you'll notice you're going to use yours, somebody else is going to use theirs, somebody else is going to use theirs, and you're going to spawn this thing infinitely for like 50 minutes, get like 40 levels, and just go completely ham in one single Helltide. And this thing can be spawned infinitely over and over and over again. So if you have a big group of people doing it, go ahead and keep spawning it, because everyone will stay and keep fighting it, giving you all a ton of XP and levels. And also keep in mind, if you actually spawn the Blood Maiden with your Baneful Hearts, you actually get a little bit better rewards than everyone else who doesn't use theirs. You'll get a little bit better gear, help you to level much quicker, and that's all we really care about. Now, when it comes to the Helltide chests, you want to focus on 2 specific chests that give you the best rewards. You want to save up your cinders throughout your Helltides and primarily spend them on 2 chests, the Living Steel chest and the Mystery chest. These are going to give you the biggest, best rewards. The Living Steel chest giving you a bunch of rewards with specifically Living Steel for summoning bosses a little bit later in the game. And then the Mystery chest will give you a ton of different legendary items, as well as all sorts of resources, and primarily those Baneful Hearts to summon the Blood Maiden that you can use to power level your build. Now, if we're talking about specifically honor farming, which we really don't need to focus on, the smaller chests will actually give you a little bit more efficiency in farming the honor because of how much they give. But due to the rewards and everything you get from the larger chests, it just doesn't make sense to spend any cinders on these smaller ones unless you run out of the big ones or you're just out of time and you need to spend them on something, in which case opening the smaller chests will at least give you reputation and other items. So make sure you do that and not actually waste your cinders at the end of a Helltide, even if that just means running and opening one chest really quick. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention, because again, it is important to go ahead and start completing these, and it gives you a bunch of overall gear in general. By doing the Blood Maiden, you can unlock actually a bunch of tempering manuals early. The Blood Maiden does drop tempering manuals as well as the bosses that she spawns. So again, that's just one good reason to fight her, because the more tempering manuals you can get right at the beginning, the quicker you can temper small little affixes to your gear and actually be way more powerful scaled wise in comparison to a lot of the beginning enemies. Now, one thing it's important to note, especially for the Whisper challenge, which is a horrible thing to actually complete in season 4, are the whispers in Helltides, and you should make sure that you're taking advantage of them. So when you're doing these Helltides, you get different whispers. You get 2 in each zone. Each Helltide zone has 2 of them. You can see this one down here has Slay the Blood Maiden for 5 Grim Favors. This is one you always want to do because it gives you the most Grim Favors the quickest. So make sure you do that. And then also this one you can see for confronting Doomsayers, where you have to confront 2 of them. Again, finding these Doomsayers and confronting them actually gives you a decent amount of Iron Wolf reputation, but it's not only good to do these for the whispers, but for the reputation as well. And 2 of these will spawn in each Helltide zone. So it's important to go ahead and make sure while you're doing the Helltides, just to kind of pay attention to these to go ahead and knock them out. Gives you free whispers towards that challenge completion. And also these have specific zones. So slaying Harbingers, if you have to slay 7 of these and you slay 6 in this area, you can't come over to this area and slay the last one. You need to make sure to do these actual whisper challenges in the regions that they're actually in. And also, if you're having trouble completing your whisper challenges, one of the big things I've been doing is actually going over to these PvP zones and completing some of these. For instance, sometimes you can have Purify Seeds of Hatred for 3 Grim Favors, and then also the Whisper event to beat the boss that's in this area. If you get that and then just purify the Seeds of Hatred, you can get 8 Grim Favors just about from each one of these PvP areas very quickly, super easy. So make sure you also use those to your advantage to complete these whispers as well. And now one of the biggest boosts to Helltides is the Profane Mind Cage. So once you complete that threat meter bar, and eventually you'll have these Hellborn enemies spawn on you that are much harder than typical enemies. Some of these enemies are harder and sometimes they take a lot longer to kill, and it seems like they're not worth it because they take so long to kill. But the reason you do want to kill them, especially after World Tier 3, is because you unlock these Profane Mind Cages. How these actually work is once you use one of these for the next 60 minutes, you increase the Helltide monster level by 10, making sure you're getting your max amount of XP bonus, and it also increases the cinder drop rate and threat gain. This means not only do you get decently more XP, but you also get more cinders, meaning more chests, meaning more loot, meaning more everything, and you also get more threat gain. When you have this active, the threat gain meter goes up way faster, and I mean way faster. This gives you much higher threat, much more enemies spawning, higher enemy levels, and this translates to a lot more XP, a lot more loot, a lot more reputation, a lot more everything. So once you get past World Tier 3, make sure if you see a Hellborn, you're killing it, so you can get these Profane Mind Cages. They actually show up on the map as one of these little leaf icons if they actually drop. Keep in mind, if you use this and you die, the effect actually goes away, which means you would have to use another one. So try not to die once you've used one of these things. But again, it translates to a lot more XP, a lot more reputation, and it's totally worth killing these Hellborn for, even though they take like 5 million years to actually kill. Those are all the tricks in the Helltide to level up and max out your Iron Wolf reputation. If this helped, make sure to drop a like, subscribe on the video if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.